waiting.
You got
We're
yours?
Oh,
small.
wait, come in. Shannon is joining us. All right, good. I'm only missing a few. Give her a second to join and then we'll get started.
I'm here. I'm sorry. I had using Zoom, actually.
We just got started. The computer in the Oriana room is not working and we had to get a backup computer, so you're right on time.
Alrighty.
All right.
Yeah,
And
it needed a passcode this time. Or not a passcode. It wanted a commercial login.
Oh, interesting.
Which it's never prompted me for that before.
Oh, and I haven't changed any of the settings, so I don't know what, I'll have to look into it.
Okay.
I know Tim Riley was having trouble with, so maybe it's something on the
I don't
accounts.
know. So this morning I checked the link for ad committee and it works fine, but it did prompt me to manually put the password in, which it doesn't always do. So
Ah.
maybe Zoom has done some updates that might be affecting our meetings. So we'll check out and see if there's anything new and we'll let you guys know.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. That's all right. I happen to have an account, so it was all, I could make it all work, but
Yeah,
it took a little longer than I was expecting.
I don't want it to do that to people though. So we'll look into it. Thanks for letting us know.
Mhm.
Okay. Hey, so I know you can't see us, Shannon. I think I mentioned we had some computer trouble, so we were using a backup system. We don't have video.
Oh, that's okay. No worries.
Tom Schwartz is here, Gary Kopersberger, Kim Burkhardt, and myself, and Chuck and you are on Zoom.
Hello, everybody. Hi, Chuck.
Hi.
Hello.
Good morning.
So we'll get going, a little late. I wanted to share some good news, which you may all already know this, but our open space protection policy was officially adopted by the town board on May 20th, unanimously with almost no discussion. So that was nice. That's kind of a nice pat on the back. That means we did a good job drafting a policy that they were in favor of, you know?
Yeah.
And I know we spent a long time on it and there was a huge delay in getting it adopted, but I think we did a good job and you guys should be proud of the work you did. It's not often that they're passed without lots and lots of discussion, so. But I mean, our board members that are currently here at the town are all fairly familiar with, you know, this topic, and I think they generally agree that it's important, and I wasn't expecting much pushback. The only pushback I would have been concerned with is if the policy had been more telling them what they could and couldn't do. And I think because it was drafted more as it's almost more informative in nature, but it lays out the tools that they have available to them, and also kind of explains how landowners can work with the town. So I think it was the best way to go about it. And then, anyway, now it's official, so we can share that. It's on our website. And I think I may have sent you guys a link to it online, but I'll do that again just in case I didn't. And you can feel free to share it, reference it. You know, if you hear of anybody who's interested in learning more about protecting their land, this is a great, I mean, if they're town residents anyway, this is a great one to start with. So that was the first thing I wanted to share. Second thing is the memo that we began talking about encouraging the town board to keep pursuing land acquisition at the lake and near Barnes Gully, that we got feedback from the ECB and the planning board, and they were supportive of it and said, yes, I could add their names to it. That went on this month's town board agenda. The town board meeting is on Monday, so that's in there as a report from all three of those boards and committee.
There's one very, very minor typo on it that you may have caught already.
I can check.
Under comments, second paragraph, number 1, THOS, probably you want it to be those.
Okay, what page was it?
Here, I'll show you.
Cause I probably
I
can.
don't know how spell check didn't catch it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That is interesting. It usually would catch that.
Otherwise, it isn't a word.
Right. That's odd. I can't change it on the agenda, but I can at least change our document.
They'll never know.
That's the old English spelling.
That's right. Okay. But yeah, so I think that memo was a good idea.
I think it's beautiful, nicely done.
And I tried to grab as much backup support from our adopted documents as I could find that was pertinent, which is just a nice reminder that this is a good idea. And also, look, we've officially decided it's a good idea many, many times over. So, you know, I don't know if anything will come of it. I know these conversations are continuously happening, especially, you know, along Barnes Gully, and I feel like the town board is in favor of those sorts of things, but it's nice for them to see that they have full support, you know, of all their appointed board members and many of their volunteers. So I think it was worthwhile.
What would be the next steps in terms of moving forward with
Um,
pursuing a purchase?
the town, there are members of staff and the elected officials who are continuing to talk to landowners in these areas. And again, just as a reminder, we're talking about the area between the Finger Lakes Land Trust, Canandaigua Vista project or Vista parcel and Ononda Park. You know, continuing to fill those gaps and make those areas publicly available in the form of a trail or larger land purchases, however that might work with easements and purchases. And as you know, we already purchased some land on the south side of Ononda Park, so that park is now expanded. And there are older conversations still going on with some landowners and some new conversations happening now too. So I think it's moving.
Mhm.
So a memo like this is just good encouragement to keep going.
Yeah.
Don't stop, you know.
The parcel immediately east of, but across the Seneca Point Road is for sale. 71 acres. What used to be the outhouse farm,
Okay.
where the guy at one point wanted to put a bunch of cottages up or something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we know
you-
about that
You
one.
know that one. Yeah.
I would say it's on the market.
Yeah, we do know about that one. And the town has been working with that. The landowner who's selling it, there've been some conversations over the years about potentially working with him.
Mhm.
And I think those are still ongoing a little bit.
Hmm.
But if he sells it, obviously that would be a conversation with the new owner.
Or just get an easement.
Right.
We
Yeah,
don't
that's-
wanna own it, just.
That's been
get
a
an
possibility too.
easement.
I think there were several different ideas of how that might work. Some involved just purchasing part of that parcel, where it goes along the gully. Some of the discussions were just an easement. Obviously, nothing ever happened, but I don't think that conversation stopped fully. I think there was a pause and then
Yeah.
that landowner has reached out a couple more times, so. So anyway, long story short, yeah, it's been given to the town board. And we probably won't get much feedback from them, but, you know, really, we just wanted them to hear from everybody.
Mhm.
For the RSM property. And I don't know how attuned Adeline is, but if she could muster support from her neighbors, they could benefit from the easement
Right,
down to the waterfront. That'd be a big bonus for people that live at Lakewood.
yeah, I don't know exactly what's happening there, but I do know there's been chatter.
I mean, you get
So
a
that picked up
petition going among those folks to
Yeah,
the town, it might add some some leverage.
Yeah, I know there were conversations with DEC a while back about them potentially being involved again too. So I think they're still talking about that, but again, I don't think anything's happened, at least not publicly that I'm aware of. But it's not a dead conversation.
But that's it, but it takes somebody to stay on top of it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether, are we gonna have a new city or town manager soon
I
or not?
think we are very close. There were 3 candidates were interviewed, I believe. 2, I think, made a more final or second interview, and that's the last I heard. But I have been told that both of the candidates are very well qualified.
Are they from New York?
I don't know.
They didn't let you in on that
Nope,
selection process?
I'm not involved in that. It's the town board plus Lindsay and Jim Fletcher. Lindsay's our HR director, so we'll wait and see.
We had some discussion about what resources were available for future purchase.
Oh,
And I don't.
I think
we
I
didn't
put
have
it
a-
in an email, just
Okay.
over $1 million in the
It
open
was,
space
okay.
fund. I think that's after the money that came out to pay for the Ononda Park expansion. So I don't think that's already earmarked for anything, although, if either of those other 2 purchases or talks or easements go forward, I'm sure they'll use some of it.
I don't know whether it'd be persuasive, but you would think it would be persuasive with RSM that the town would be developing at no charge their waterfront for those many lots that are
Yeah.
undeveloped. I mean, that could be
Yeah,
Good.
I mean, we always know though, that if that parcel belongs to the town or another public entity, there won't be much development.
no,
It would just be very
it would
minor
be access to
passive
the water to
access.
swim or kayak or
Probably not
fish.
swimming.
You don't think so?
No, I think they were talking, Department of Health regulates our swimming beaches. And water depth and how quickly it drops off are a big player, and whether or not you can
Safely swim.
open a public beach, and I think that area didn't meet their criteria. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's what Lindsay told me.
Would have, it only pertains to this municipality, because RSM was talking about.
I don't
floating
think it
docks.
has anything to do with private swimming beaches. I think that the Department of Health probably, if I had to guess, is probably only for public beaches, like the cities, like Kershaw and Ononda
Okay.
and Butler Beach. I'm not sure on that, though. It's not, I'm not usually involved in that. I just hear what they're talking about.
Another hurdle.
But I will update you guys if I hear anything more solid on any of that. I just had a couple more updates to give you. I have been talking with Barbara Johnson at Labella about updating some of our maps like we talked about. She has all the information from me, and they're building a quote for us to work on that. And again, this was some of the updates pertaining to getting our latest couple of PDR projects represented on our maps of protected land, as well as the Vista parcel, the trail down there on Jones Road, and showing that our park has grown, just some of that. So we just, some basic updates. Some of the same information that needs to be added to this map also needs to be added to our farmland map. I don't know where it went. It's gone.
It's been gone for a while now.
I need to find it. I have other copies rolled up in my office, but the big one is
What are you looking for?
our strategic farmland protection area map. I think I know where it is.
Oh.
It went to the fair last year. I think it's in that room. It needs to just come back.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna go in there for ag community anyway, so if it's in there, I'll bring it back. But that map, or one of the maps from the ag plan, I don't remember if it was that one or another one, also shows the protected land area, and it needs to be updated. But anyway, I know I've told you guys this over and over again. You don't need to hear it again, I'm sorry. But anyway, Labella is gonna be giving us a quote any day now. I'll let you know about that. And before they actually make those updates, I imagine they'll be coming in here and we'll meet with them. And so they have a better understanding of exactly what it is we want. So there might be a meeting or two that we invite them to come to.
What was the one that we thought, when it was done originally, there was a lot of on-ground surveying of the areas. It was,
That one behind you, the ecological communities map is based on a lot of field work
Yeah.
and aerial imagery data from 2002. That has not been redone.
okay,
As far as I know, there's no new data
yeah.
for that.
That one.
Sarah, is there funding to do the update?
I don't know. So that was done with FLCC. From what I'm told, it was run, some students did it as a project. So.
No, I mean, as far as the quote that we're receiving from Labella.
Oh, we
Uh,
have money in
okay,
our budget.
I wanted to make sure if we had the budget for it, that we include that in the upcoming budget, but if the money's there, all the better.
We have some, I can't remember how much. We originally had asked for 5,000, but it just never got prioritized and we didn't do it. And I feel like maybe that was downgraded last year. I'm not sure we still have that much, but in the budget that I have as the town planner, I think there is also a little bit of room to use some of my budget for stuff like this. So I'll wait and see what they come back with.
Yeah, wait to see what kind of number they come up with and.
And if
we
I
agree-
don't, if we don't have enough and I can't find any, I will just ask town board. For, you know, if there's some other money somewhere else that we can use to update this, because I think they would find it important enough.
Mhm.
I think we find it important, so I think it's something we ought to stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, and I mean, we use these maps all the
Yeah.
time, so.
I would think they would have access to LiDAR technology or maps generated by that. And looking at this, you wonder, I mean, this is field work, but now don't they have the technology to
You do, you
over
can
these areas
use
and identify
satellite
what the-
imagery
what the
can
trees
use
are?
different wavelengths to identify different types of vegetative cover.
Right.
But that's, you know, that's also a project with
Yeah.
analysis and somebody's got to do it,
Sure.
so. I feel like it'd be a great student project for someone, you know?
And things have changed in 20 years.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah, so it would be nice, I mean, yeah, the county knows everybody wants a new layer for that, but I have not heard anything. I can reach out and ask them.
We had owned our house for a year when we got a postcard that came and like asked, what was your land cover and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
When was
so that was multifaceted.
2001,
Oh, okay.
or maybe
that-
it wasn't even quite a year yet.
Uh,
So, yeah.
Yeah, I think they took several different approaches to do that.
Yeah.
They used aerial imagery or satellite, I don't remember which one it was, mixed with actual field checking and apparently surveys. All right, well, yeah, I can ask Sherry Norton at the county if she's heard anything about any updates to that. That's the person I can think of that would make the most sense, because she's the GIS person over at the county, so if she knows, and if anyone knows anything about it, she would be aware, because she has that layer available on Encore. And the last update I have is our brochures, these that I have been neglecting to get printed. I have no excuse, I just haven't done it. I did reach out to Quick Print this morning, and I remembered that I still hadn't done it, so I apologize. So hopefully they'll get me a quote and we'll just get that done. I've asked for a quote for different numbers, you know, how much for 100, how much for 200, 500, just to see how much it's gonna cost. And depending on what they say, maybe, you know, we'll start with a smaller number and just get them printed again, or, I mean, we can print them ourselves. This is what they look like. They just don't look as nice.
You want like the glossy?
I'm gonna see what they offer,
Okay.
see what the different price points are. And we'll just go from there. And we'll put them upstairs, and I think we all talked about some different places where we could put them too, so. Have them at some of the parks events and things. So the ag committee is gonna do the same thing. They've created a brochure they're gonna hand out at the 4th of July parade. And then with their extras, they're talking about having them available at events at our parks and just places like the library and stuff like that. So we can do the same thing.
Hand them out the county fair.
Yeah, they could.
Mhm.
So those were the updates I had for you guys, mostly good things. I was just really excited about the policy adoption because we've been working on it for so long and talking about it even longer. And now at least we've got something official.
And somehow keep the town board aware of this.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because they're thinking about it now, but
Yeah.
after a while it dies down.
That's why it'd be nice to have another Doug Finch on board that's riding herd on where the money might be available.
Yeah.
Maybe some money from the Morels.
I don't know.
Yeah, is
That
that the
would
land trust?
enhance the value of their,
Property?
of course, they've sold out up there. They've run out of lots, haven't they?
Probably.
Except for a few townhomes maybe on top of the hill.
Maybe, yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah, because they're finalizing
They're
everything
over
with us, you know?
Park, Pierce Brook or whatever the
Yeah.
hell it is now.
That's that's the one they're spending most of their time on now.
Is the land trust looking into any purchases in the town that we're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. That
Okay.
doesn't mean they're not.
Not
I
that there's
just
a lot
might not be
available.
involved.
Yeah, okay.
No, I mean, they occasionally they reach out. But I used to hear about those things because I worked with
Mhm.
Doug. And
Okay.
I don't always hear about it
Yeah.
anymore.
How
until
did
after the
the Vista purchase come about? Because that was a partnership, right? between
They
the land
reached
trust and
out.
town.
To us.
The land trust reached
Mhm.
out to the town and asked if.
And that was years in the making.
Yeah,
That was a good one, yeah. And the town board was willing to
mhm,
give them money. So we don't have any easements on that, and we don't own any land. It's all owned by the land trust or easements with the land trust, but
Yeah.
the town gave them
Yeah.
funding.
they're doing a good job of maintaining it.
Yeah, I
maintaining the
like it up
trails.
there. It's working out well. It's a nice spot.
And it was really what Duana,
Barnum,
Barnum, and I'm trying to Steve something or others.
Susie Underhill. and,
The
yeah,
Underhill, right, that
yeah,
we're always interested in preserving their,
Right, right.
which is,
Worked
you
out well.
need motivated
Mhm.
folks that,
yeah. The last thing I wanted to visit with you guys is, take a look at our 2024 goals again. And we had those in that report we gave to the town board back in February. And some of them are kind of along the lines with our updates we had. So, you know, one of the very first goal we had was work with the town board on the open space policy. So that's almost a box check right there. We got it adopted. Doesn't mean, like you said, Tom, that, you know, we're done and we just push it off to the side, but at least we have the document now. The second bullet on our goals was about the maps.
Mhm.
So we're working on that. Again, I'll let you know, when I hear back from them on a quote, and as long as we can go forward with it based on how much they think it's gonna cost. I think a lot of the discussions will happen here in our meetings. We can also invite planning board and, you know, other people too to come be involved because they use the maps as well. ECB, I'm sure. I mean, I know there's two of you, but more of you if you want. Because typically when we do something like this, they do want to meet a few times just to make sure they're going to produce what we want them to. It's not going to be a big process because a lot of the maps already exist. We're just so they understand what we want, especially the lands of conservation value map, because I told her we weren't interested in replacing it completely, but making another version. So then we had two. So she's gonna want to talk to us about that other version. One of the other bullets was the brochure. As soon as I get some quotes on that, we can talk about doing a mailing like we had talked about before. In our goals, I didn't write down the details of what we had decided on how to mail, but I do remember we talked about it. I still have my notes about some thresholds to consider, like people who have more than 5 acres or, you know, probably non-farming land, because everybody who's got larger farming acreage already has programs they're aware of that we can do. So maybe I'll go back through our notes, so that the next time we meet, we've got, we can have, maybe I think we talked about, oh yeah, the spreadsheet. That's right, that's one of our bullets. Sorry, I had the brochure circled, but I skipped over. Create a spreadsheet based on the map with parcel data, including land cover, acreage, and landowner contact information, and we'll use that to decide who gets brochures. Yeah, so they are kind of tied together. We'll keep that in mind. All right, the other 3 goals, were there more? Oh, just 3. We're working with ECB to talk about doing some sort of public information workshop ideas. That might involve Canandaigua Lake Watershed Association, talk about the Lake Friendly Lawn Care Pledge, Certified Wildlife Habitat Program with the National Wildlife Federation, and pollinator friendly gardening. We haven't talked about that again. I think I'm still interested in doing that. I wonder what time of year would a workshop like that be best? Would it be best in the spring, or does it matter?
Don't think it matters.
If it's available online, I don't think it matters, even if it's winter, because
Yeah,
people can connect
winter
on.
might be kind of fun to have a talk like that, because it makes you think about spring, planting gardens and.
It was gonna be an
Yeah.
online.
Well,
I
it can
think-
be both.
Yeah, if we did an in-person workshop, if it was possible to have it available via Zoom as well,
Right.
we would. The only way it might not work is if it ended up being like a tabling event.
Mm.
You know, like they did a couple years ago, the ECB did. They used the highway building and had some people come and they had tables sharing information, all kinds of stuff, but related to what we're talking about. So that wouldn't work on a Zoom, but if it was more of an informative, like, and I think when we talked about it, the idea is to get landowners to know about these programs and how they could participate. And I think that would work well in a more sit down, talk and listen kind of format.
Mhm.
Let them know that these programs exist. How can they access them? Some of them get, a sticker or a sign that they can, kind of display to be proud of.
Hmm.
So I think we should revisit that too. Maybe talk about trying to do it this winter, maybe.
Sure.
I was thinking, larger landowners are unlikely to be seasonal residents. Unlikely, don't you think?
Large landowners.
Yeah,
I think once you move away from the lake, there's less seasonal too. Sending out the public notices, I see a lot of elsewhere down by the lake, but not that in the rest of the town.
We can get a map of that, of seasonal and.
Oh, yeah.
Elsewhere's.
Yeah. Well, my mom is one of those seasonal residents. Yeah, so maybe we can revisit a workshop towards the end of the summer and plan for some time over the winter months. And yeah, have an online version.
We can even have a couple of different, you know, if we're having like speakers connect. I know
You could
the,
have a series.
you could have a series. The person that's the director of the land trust, he does a nice talk at
He
things.
does.
There was a really good, the NYPF did a really good webinar on pollinators. And pollinator gardens, and I would highly recommend anybody who wants to listen to it, but maybe we could talk to those individuals about coming in and talking about some of that as well.
The Planning Federation?
Yes,
Wow, okay.
It was like a lunch thing, wasn't it?
Was it?
it
Okay.
was.
Yeah.
It was a lunchtime webinar, but it was a ton of great ideas for municipalities for how to encourage pollinator landscapes instead of like grass. They used examples of between the sidewalk and the road, you could put in native plants instead of grass, and then you don't have to maintain it and all this other kind of stuff. But he also had some conversations that he's had for residents and what they could do in their homes and everything. So it just was a really good, very interesting talk.
So the Planning Federation will share links to previous webinars with us if we ask. I can ask them to share that and share it with the rest of you if you're interested. It'd be a previously recorded webinar, so there'd be no interaction, but I might like to listen to that. Thanks, Shannon.
Pat really liked it. She went to it.
Oh,
as
she
well.
went to it too, okay.
And she noted that Victor has an ordinance on native plants. When I finally found it, it's talks about non-residential. It needs to be at least 70% native.
Huh,
Yeah,
would you be able to share where you found that?
sure.
Maybe as a reply all to
Yep,
this
yep.
group?
Yeah, I was just looking for my links as well.
It wasn't that easy to find, but I did finally come across it because Pat had mentioned that there was a law.
That's interesting.
And it was specifically,
Commercial properties,
they phrased it non-residential.
okay.
Oh, that's interesting.
So focusing on businesses. and
Commercial or public or wherever.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Great place to start something like that.
We should do that on all town-owned properties.
Yeah.
That would be a good start.
Which would be included in non-residential, wouldn't it?
Public.
So the webinar I listened to was called Low Cost Pollinator Options.
Okay. Thank you. All right, yeah, I'll see if I can get them to share that link for those of us who haven't watched it. That sounds good. That'd be good. Our last bullet was about working with realtors, to see if they can clue us in when they find something that might be of interest for the town as far as open space. For acquisition potential. And I haven't done anything with that, but I know when we were bringing it up, we were talking about just reaching out to some of them. And I don't know if there are any realtors who specialize in land, undeveloped land. So I wouldn't know who to start with, but I mean, it could just be a simple
Preenies do a
email.
lot in South Bristol, but that's not our town.
Yeah,
Yeah, you'd like to get people before they contact the realtor. I suppose,
Yeah.
too, but
That's usually just luck of,
it's
just being
tough.
lucky with word of mouth.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe, if we, I know a lot of these things are like a chain reaction thing, but if we get our maps updated, we get the new spreadsheet and we mail the brochures, that might catch some
Yeah,
people's
with a
attention.
cover letter, send some brochures to the realtors and say, hey. here's-
Realtors, yeah, and landowners.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't imagine we would have a flood of interested landowners, but there might be one or two who, don't know what they want to do, and maybe this would be something they'd be interested in.
And maybe we'll be happily surprised.
That's the goal, right?
You never know.
Mhm. It's kind of like, well, no, it's not. I was gonna say, it's kind of like when we sent out letters to ag landowners, but there was a very obvious financial incentive there. The town purchasing land, it's just what the town can afford or chooses to spend, so it's not on the same level as what the state can afford.
Speaking of PDRs, how active are we this year?
Not,
Is that because Doug's gone or because Jared doesn't care? Or
I don't think it's because the town board doesn't care, it's because I was the one doing it. And I haven't had time to talk to the town board about how we might go about doing it. I don't have the time to do it,
Too-
even though I
too few
enjoyed it
hours.
and I liked it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
With the
Once
current.
it Doug was real
position.
committed and.
Yeah, well,
he
I mean,
put
that was
in-
one of the things I
Yeah,
worked on with
yeah.
him, so we made time,
Right.
when we were working on that, there was other stuff that didn't get done, but I can't not do the things I'm doing now, so,
Is it something that the ag committee could help with?
no.
No, all right.
No, it's grant writing. Not that they
Ah,
can't
okay.
do that, but if they've never done it before, it would take too much time to teach them. I might as well just do it. It's grant writing and there's a lot of rules. You have to do. They could help with some of the other stuff. There's soil analysis. There's all kinds of things you have to answer before you can even see whether the parcel is eligible for the program.
If there's some things they could help with, because I know they're anxious to try and make positive changes.
Didn't we use MRB for some of that,
Mm-mm.
for some of the grant writing?
Not on that. Yes, for
The-
grant writing in
Who's the gal
general,
that
yes,
lived in
but
Canada?
we didn't use it for PDRs.
Okay.
The land trust did some of them, and one of them we did just us, so I did that one by myself, but,
Again, it should be a focus, how we staff it, I don't know, but
we need, and that's the thing.
That's a big,
There needs to be a staff person
yeah,
who's the point person and the person who's gonna do the bulk work, even if there was help from committee members,
should this body make a recommendation?
we could. Would
Because
probably,
it's dead
like
now,
another
you don't
memo.
have the time for it.
I want to have the time for it, but I just don't.
Well, you have to pick your career.
Mhm.
So what would be the other duties for such a person? This shared position or a full-time position doing
I don't know.
development of.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
While
because
the
you
project is being handled, the amount of time you spend, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like a 2 or 3 year process.
yeah,
The amount of time you spend varies from an hour a week to, 30 hours a week,
Mhm.
depending on what stage of the process you're in.
mhm,
The beginning, gathering in, information is when it starts. The bulk of the work and the hardest part is when you're doing the actual application.
yeah,
When you're, gathering the materials and doing the background and making the reports and
mhm,
answering the questions and submitting and all of that. Once you submit, there's nothing to do, you just
Mhm.
wait.
okay,
And then if you get the grant, then the work is basically working on going to closing. It's a real estate transaction,
mhm,
but there's a lot of other things that
Yeah.
the landowner has to do too.
Yeah.
But
right,
so, that's not really a job in and of itself because the amount of work
right,
varies.
right. But there's no follow, I mean, I think we talked about monitoring some of these activities and preservations of properties and what, and no one really does that, so,
The annual monitoring,
yeah,
we only hold one ourselves.
okay,
It's on Sand Hill Road, and I do that. It's only once a year.
okay.
So I went
So
out
it's
in
not a-
August last year. I'll go
Not
out
a huge.
in August again. It takes half a day,
Make sure
maybe
there's
an hour or two.
Subdivision hasn't popped up in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, now that one's easy. I know the landowners. I
Right.
trust them.
Yeah.
I just kind of, it's more of a formality to go out there and make sure they're still doing what they're supposed to and
Sure.
not doing what they're not supposed to do, but, so we only have one right now. The other
Okay.
PDRs, all of the other PDRs in the town are the Finger Lakes Land Trust,
Oh, okay.
except for one up here is the Genesee Land Trust.
Okay.
So we only have one that we monitor. They monitor the
land
rest of
trust
them.
does, yeah, okay.
Um, yeah, I mean, I think we should be involved in the PDR. It's a little more difficult than it used to be. The criteria is a little more broken up. There's categories now that there never used to be. And the soil requirements are harder now.
Would pursuing the PDRs be part of the job description of the town manager or not? We don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
But even if we didn't have someone on staff who could complete an application, it doesn't mean the land trust isn't interested anymore. What we used to do is, when the PDR program was gonna come out, usually it comes out in the spring. The fall before that was when we would solicit interest. We send out a letter and an application that we created, you know, are you interested? You may be eligible.
Mhm.
And then we'd get however many applications we had, and then we'd make sure they actually were in fact eligible for the program, and those that were, would interview with the ag committee and the ECB together and pick like the top two. And then we would talk to the land trust and see if they were interested in pursuing the top two or one of them. And
Mhm.
either they'd say yes or no, thank you. And the last round, they said no, thank you, and we did it ourselves.
But it would be a shame to lose the momentum. We've done so well
We have
in the
lost the
past.
momentum.
Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, and I haven't heard from the land trust, so if they were interested in any parcels in the town, I'm pretty sure they would have told us.
Speaking of that, I was just looking at my calendar on the phone, which I don't use very much. I use a paper calendar, but I think there's a land trust meeting next week on Wednesday or Thursday at Star Cider,
Yeah, it's their, isn't their annual
their annual meeting,
meeting?
yeah.
Yeah.
Might mention that to Jared or somebody from the town should go there.
The trust has had a lot of announcements over the last
Mhm.
couple of months.
Yeah, good ones, big
Good
ones.
ones, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if we could somehow be like Tompkins County, I mean, they seem to be scoring perpetually around Ithaca there.
Well, I mean, that makes sense. They're based in
Yeah.
Ithaca.
Yeah.
But they have
Well, I
stretched
think
out over here a lot
attitudinally
more.
that community is
Yeah,
rabid
Yeah.
environmentalists.
The land trust did give the town of Canandaigua a call out last fall in one of their meetings. We got an environmental, I want to say environmental stewardship, but I don't think that's what they called it. Us and and Ithaca both got a little pat on the back.
All right.
the town of Ithaca,
Maybe,
because there's a town and a city there, just like here.
like probably the town. I don't think there's much room in the city for that,
Correct.
just like us here.
Mhm.
Yeah, and some of it was because of our purchase of the land next to McJanet Park, you know. Cause that was a great example. It
Yeah,
came
yeah.
up. I think, you know, and Doug proposed it to the town board and they said yes, and we bought it. I mean, it was fast without much
Yeah,
discussion.
I drove by and I called Doug and said it, and he said, I already know about it. We're
Yeah.
working on it.
Yeah, when I saw it was for sale, I told my husband. He's like, what? I was like, you don't want it to be developed. Buy it. So, anyway, so I mean, I feel like, you know, we had some pretty good goals for 2024. We're almost halfway through the year. We've done a few more in the works, and I think we can touch on all of them a little bit this year. So I think that's pretty good. So I have some notes, because I know it's getting right near 11 now, and I don't want to keep you guys any longer. I have some notes, so I've got some homework to do. I will get back to you guys on some of those links we talked about. Kim's gonna share with me the information she found out about Victor and their native landscaping. I'll get the link for that webinar that Shannon saw. Maybe Kim and I can do a little brainstorming about a potential workshop over the winter, get some ideas going. I'll draft a memo to the town board about the PDR program. And share it with you folks, and maybe since I just sent them the memo this month, maybe I'll give them a little time and do another one in August. It just depends on how fast I get to it too.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got too many hats now.
I don't mind it. I just wish I had more time to play with it. Let's see. Oh, and I'm also reaching out to the county to ask them if they have any information about updating that ecological communities layer. Haven't had information in 20 years, so maybe they won't, but it's worth asking. And then when I hear from LaBella about the maps, I'll certainly let you folks know. And that might kind of help drive our meetings coming up. You know, we discussed meeting every other month, so right now our next meeting would be August. But if you know, LaBella gets back to me more quickly and we can get started, I'll let you know if perhaps there's a reason for us to meet in July to go over any of that, because I know they're gonna want some direction. But that was it for me. Does anyone in the room or on Zoom have anything else you wanted to share, or did I forget anything that you wanted to hear about?
No, that's good. Thank you.
Nope, sounds good.
Thank,
All good.
thank you for staying on top of it.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really like this group. I think we do good things. I think we do it quietly, but I think it's worthwhile.
Stay cool.
Yeah, very much
See
so.
you later, Gary.
See you later.